Do you believe God revealed the lights on Mount Sinai?
I believe God wants my religion to exist as well alongside others.
Yeah, but that's not answering my question.
Literally?
I'm asking what you believe.
I'm not sure. Most people look like me do, 99.9%.
Okay, so do you believe the prophets existed?
The people, yeah. And I
Do you believe they were prophets inspired by God?
I believe they felt God speaking through them. I think you feel that too now. That doesn't mean that 100% of what they said.
So you don't believe they were inspired by God? Moses, David, Solomon?
Inspired by God, yes. But that's, you may be inspired by God as well.
No, but I'm saying in a divine sense, as in they were direct. They received that.
I don't believe humans are infallible. I don't believe we're infallible. When there's parts.
No, but I'm saying, do you believe they were?
Basis,
I'm asking, do you believe they were directly influenced by God to deliver a message to the Israelites?
I think they felt that way.
So you don't believe that?
No.
Is that what you're shooting?
I'm asking you. It's a simple question.
I don't think every word of the Bible. Well, if it's basis parts in the Old Testament.
So you're more of like a cultural sort of.
No, I practice it very seriously. Every seventh day, I keep everything. I'm not saying I keep strict kosher. I can't eat anywhere.
But practicing is different from believing.
Well, my belief is God is much bigger than all religions. But God isn't a Jew or Christian, a Hindu or Muslim. He doesn't speak one language. He doesn't belong to one country.
Do you think God's going to send conflicting, contradictory messages?
Well, I think he can. Yes, there's many paths to God, and he gives me a hint what he wants me to practice according to where I was born. So 99% of us practice what our parents practice.
So when the Quran says the Muslim, the Jews and the Christians are the worst of mankind, do you think that's from God?
I think that part is probably not God.
So you're being selective.
Wait, just a second. Look, I only want to worship a God that loves all people.
Right.
I know if God was a racist, bigot guy, I don't want to worship him.
So then why are you saying God gave all the religions, and when they're all contradictory, you're saying it's gay? But then when I point that out, then you're like, well, actually...
No, I'm saying they're not all perfect. It doesn't mean that everything in them is right. Yeah. I think the divine inspired. I see there's a lot of good in it. I think you can find all these lots of good. It doesn't mean that the parts where they say all others are crap. And basing that on what? Most of us were born into our religions. We didn't even go and seek it out. So that's, the reason I practice my religion is because God made me born to Orthodox Jews. And so I think it's giving me a hint. You can either check the 4,200 other religions out, and that's not including denominations, or practice the one I want. But that doesn't mean that everything my religion says about God, about the world, about me being some kind of chosen people. So God chose 8 billion people.
So you believe the world is a test? Because you're saying God, there's all these different religions. Therefore, there has to be a truth, because the truth has to be objective, right?
I think that they're all paths to God. Can
the truth be contradictory?
Just a second.
No, but this is a simple question. Can the truth be contradictory?
The truth can't be contradictory. But
right. So it has to be objective.
Yeah, but they can
So therefore, let me just finish my point. If you believe the truth is objective, there has to be an objective truth. There can be many religions, but if they all contradict each other, they cannot all be true.
Because we're doing guesswork, and we get some things very well when we talk about love and kindness and charity. And we get things very wrong. We talk about all the others.
But before we get to the point of which one is true religion,
we can say there's one true.
I know, but I'm saying we can eliminate the ones where they contradict. Because you said if there is a God, God has to be objectively true.
No, but
or are you saying
God has to be, but God is much bigger than religion. So God is not a man or a book.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're saying
no book is God,
yeah, but
the
you're
Bible
saying,
is in God, the Quran is in God.
Are you saying religions are sent by God, or they all lead to God?
Well, they lead to God.
So how can they lead to God?
Yes.
For example, you, as you said, you're a Jew. You probably know the Tanakh.
Yeah.
You had Baal worshippers, for example, or people who worship Moloch. They would sacrifice their children to God. Does that lead you to God in your eyes?
No, because
why?
Innocent child.
So then how can you say all religions lead to God?
Because religions have lots of good stuff in them.
So
good things in Islam, lots of good ideas.
Now you're saying
not all of them.
Now you're trying to say good things lead to God, but your initial premise was religions lead to God. But when I pointed out actually different religions teach different things, now you're readjusting your argument.
I'm not readjusting.
So then therefore sacrificing your child to God, like some of the pagan worshippers did, should lead, because they believe that led them to God, so you should be endorsing it.
Hey, have you heard of Equity Commerce? It's like the best e-commerce platform to launch your online business. The best. You see, here at Equid, we designed our e-commerce platform to be the easy.
Not if they kill innocent children.
But if that's what's prescribed
If
by
they,
God,
if they understand Baal as the god and that's one thing.
Right.
Okay? I include Hindus in there. I'm not.
so
I'm
then
not
how do you
selective.
differentiate
But-
between what is good then?
So moral things are good.
Like what?
Okay, the way I see it, look, it's tricky for me because I don't have one man a book to tell me.
No, I'm just asking you-
But I feel
right.
like my God, in my view, He's moral. He loves His 8 billion people. Okay, He wants me to do good to them, to be nice and kind to them. When I'm doing that, when I'm connecting, helping His people, I'm doing His will. When I'm not,
How do you know His will?
I pray for it. I pray to be.
So do many people, like many crazy people as well, pray for God's will.
Well, look,
Exactly.
well, I listen here. Some people feel God speaking through them, and I give them. And I don't care what religion or no religion you believe, even atheists. Yeah, that's fine. That could also be a positive also. But there's some people who the ego comes in. They start talking about the mothers of each other. Or whatever. There's one guy saying, through my face, decided I'm a piece of shit. I didn't take it personally. I just wonder if that's true. Or maybe the way I dress is what made him say that. He happened to be Muslim. But,
Okay.
But the guy there, I don't know where I come from. But I think God is bigger than a religion. That's a problem. When we put God in that kind of box, so then we commit it to everything that happens here. And religions are limited because they're given by humans, and humans are limited because we're not on fault.
So, but the thing is, if there's a higher power,
Yes.
He has to communicate with the creation, like the creator.
Yes, but it's in a very general way.
But that's why we go back to my point. If God has communicated with humanity,
Yes.
He cannot send contradictory messages to humanity to follow.
Well, it can if not everyone has the same purpose in the world. I mean, are you practicing a specific Christianity?
Yeah, but again, that's why I said
said.
we can go back to the people who sacrifice their children.
Okay, but they sacrificed their children. The problem wasn't, okay, but if they gave charity in the name of Baal, maybe that was God's will at the time.
So then again, but you're saying, so that's what I'm saying, how do we understand what God's will is? Because there has to be a clear way to
Okay,
identify.
well, God gave us a sort of brain to think. He gave us a heart that we can think. But let me ask you this. What denomination you belong to?
Christian.
Just general
like
Christian?
Protestant. Well, I'm not Catholic.
Okay, what kind of
Yeah.
Protestant?
Just Christian.
Pardon?
Yeah, just Christian.
So all Protestants, right? Methodists and Baptists, they're all passed to God. They all worship. They're all.
They all believe in the Bible. There's different interpretations, but they all have the same core doctrine.
Is God happy with all of them?
Well, when we die, they'll find out.
What do you think?
But the thing is, in terms of there are differences between the execution of the religion in terms of authorities, maybe, but they're not really conflicting between each other.
But you agree that you definitely have certain groups
Yes.
that aren't identical,
Yeah.
and you think
Yeah,
they're
but-
all God's thing.
No,
So
but
I
this
just
is
do it to all humanity.
but this
I'm
is my
just
point.
extending it.
If they believe in the Bible, which we believe was the inspired word of God, they all look at the same thing. Now, people can interpret some things differently. That's different because you're saying God intentionally has allowed different messages to be given to people to lead them to Him. That's the difference between having a singular message and people interpreting it
Just a second.
wrongly.
If
No.
you have different Protestant denominations,
Yes.
at some states, someone there gave a bit, there was someone, I don't know if you include, Mormons are included
No,
or
again-
Mormons are not included. Because if you,
No.
Mormons are included.
no.
Okay, so which, because then they have Joseph
Yeah, but
Smith.
again-
So tell me which. But
Again, my point is very simple. If you have, there is no Christian that will say, for example, kill your children. They will read the same passages and come to the same core principles. In some aspects of the religious, like executing the religion in terms of maybe ceremonial aspects, or some, for example, you have Calvinists who believe that there's predestination, and those who aren't believe in free will. That's the difference in terms of
And they're
interpretation.
both okay. So this fundamental thing of asking, did God decide everything, or do we have free
Right,
choice?
but again-
it's okay. We still so.
The reason why it's not an issue, because for example, in the time of Jesus, there were Jews that differed in terms of some of the interpretations of some of the verses. Where it was, where they went wrong. No, I'm not talking about the Pharisees. So, for example, maybe like when the Messiah will come, or things like when they asked Jesus, "Are you the Messiah? Are you the prophet?" There was different understandings of how some of the passages could be interpreted. What I'm talking about is giving a direct message to say, do this or don't do that. This is the will of God. And you're having conflicting religions. For example,
You told me.
yeah,
Sorry,
let me just make a point. For example, that's what I said in the Quran, where it says Jews and Christians are the worst of mankind. That goes against what the
That's against God. Okay,
right, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's something very crystal clear, where I'm saying it conflicts, not just a verse where you're saying, well, we can interpret this verse in a different ways because the guidance is still
the
there.
Old Testament, the one follow, but see,
Yes.
it says bad things about the nations that the Israelites came to, Amalek, another thing.
Yeah, Amaleks. Amalekites.
It says to do
why,
terrible things
but
to
why,
them.
why would
really
the,
shocking.
why would the Amalekites kind of disparage in the Bible?
Electrify your metabolism back to teenage levels by eating 1/2 teaspoon of this with water and burning fat like you're still in high school. Every adult human has around 30.
I can get to that, but for whatever reason is, killing the babies is wrong.
Right.
Okay, and the Bible does say to do that.
Okay.
It's my Bible. I believe in
Yes.
it. I practice it.
Okay.
But I wouldn't practice that kind of thing of
Okay.
killing babies of a nation. I don't care what they did, because
Yes.
that's wrong.
Okay.
And in my blood, there's no way God
Right.
actually wants it.
What's the point? If you say the died in the midst of basically killing the Amorites and the 7 nations, basically in the mitzvah, if you say that you can't do it, then what's the point of being an Orthodox Jew? Because being an Orthodox Jew basically means that you have to basically follow all those teachings of the
Well, as religion developed, they actually told us, look, we don't really know they are, they disappeared, they found solution, the rabbis found solution, in order for us not to go crazy and do crazy stuff, which is in a way a good thing. And I think that, I mean, you just say Christians don't ever come to babies, but through medieval times, my people, Christians sometimes killed them. And I'm talking about the Holocaust even before that. There's a Christian in that. There were Christian people killing them. I don't think they're doing God's will. I don't disparage all Christianity for that.
Yeah, but
there were Christian people doing bad
yeah,
things.
but that's
There are Jews
yeah,
who do
but,
bad
yeah,
things.
exactly.
I live in Israel.
Yeah, but
There's many Jews that do bad things.
yeah, but you've made the
That's
point.
a fact.
That's
Okay,
the
so-
point you've made. People can do bad things in the name of something, but does that something ascribe the people to do that? That's the difference that we're talking about.
They may have thought so.
Again, when we look at the text, for example, like the thing that you said, it doesn't say go and do this. It's not instructing them to go and do that. So I can go and stab someone and say that's in the name of you. You didn't instruct me to do that.
Right.
So I can do that and say, oh well, I thought you wanted me to do
Okay,
that.
so I treat even all the holy texts, and I'm including here,
Yeah.
the Vedas in the Quran, the Old and New Testament, all that, as also that they take in the name of God, but sometimes they say things that there's no way God actually wants it. How could God want us to kill babies of Amalek? That's just my So you're right. So there's a theological price I pay for that, right? I keep Sabbath very strict. I keep kosher very strictly. I belong to this community. They see this. I don't know what they're going to think of me. But the point is that the price I get is that God stays holy and perfect and moral. He stays deeply moral, loving of his
But
people.
God has to be just, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and we'll wrap up in a minute. But God has to be just.
Yes.
So that's why, in terms of in the New Testament, for example, it says the wages of sin is death. So God has to punish sin. If God is perfect, as you said, God cannot also put up with evil or like wrongdoing. God has to, as a just judge.
You can hate the sinner, not the sinner. But you
Right,
say,
but then how
God
do you-
wants all these Muslims to become Christians. They all have to be in order to get to God.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
asking, is that
Yes.
your view? There's no other way.
No.
If they're
Jesus,
morally
Jesus
good
said,
people,
I'm the way,
they
the
don't-
truth.
they
There's no
don't
other
do-
way to the Father but through me.
So a good Muslim who's moral and is nice.
Even
and
in your
kind, he's not-
even in your Tanakh, it says like good deeds are a filthy rag to God.
Yeah. You don't buy God with that.
But you see, the problem is that there's a lot of part of humanity are not selfish and not based on their morals or their good doing,
But
just by the.
yeah, but you see that, and this will come full circle. For example, what is a good deed? You said, for example, that you practice like orthodoxy.
Right.
Now, when Jesus came,